Your parents' furnace ran for 30 years without a single repair. Yours won't make it to 15, and the reason why might change how you heat your home forever. In 1975, Mike Rivera's father installed a gas furnace in their Michigan basement. The unit weighed nearly 300 pounds. Its heart, a cast iron heat exchanger with walls as thick as a finger, over 8 millimeters of solid metal. The cabinet doors closed with a heavy clang, and the only electronics were a simple mercury thermostat and a manual on-off switch. For the next 38 years, winter after winter, that furnace ran quietly in the background. It needed little more than a new air filter each fall and the occasional oiling of the blower motor. The original manufacturer's manual, still tucked inside the cabinet, boasted a design life of 30 to 40 years. This wasn't marketing bravado. Industry data and maintenance logs from the era confirm that these mid-century workhorses routinely reached 3 decades or more of service. Some survived even longer, with scattered reports of units humming along into their 40s, the metal dull but unbroken. The secret was in the materials. Heat exchangers were built from cast iron or thick gauge steel, sand cast, and then machined to resist decades of thermal shock. Wall thicknesses of 8 millimeters or more acted as armor against corrosion and fatigue. Cabinets were welded or riveted, not spot welded or glued, and the few moving parts could be replaced with off-the-shelf hardware. When failure came, it was slow: corrosion at a seam, a tired blower motor, a rusted flue damper. Catastrophic cracks were rare because the metal could flex and absorb the daily expansion and contraction of heating cycles. These furnaces were not efficient by modern standards. Annual fuel utilization efficiency, AFUE, was typically 60 to 70%. That meant 30 or 40 cents of every gas dollar floated up the chimney as waste heat. But the trade-off was clear: a system that might cost more to run each year, yet could be trusted to last as long as the mortgage, often outliving the roof, the windows, and sometimes the house itself. For families like the Riveras, the furnace was a fixture, not a gamble. Its longevity set a benchmark, one that would soon be left behind. A new furnace rolls off the truck, gleaming and compact, but its life expectancy is a fraction of its predecessors. The difference starts at the core. Modern heat exchangers are stamped from steel just 3 to 5 millimeters thick, less than half the heft of the cast iron walls that once made up the heart of every American furnace. This material savings means lighter shipping loads and lower production costs, but it also means the metal is far more vulnerable to thermal fatigue and corrosion. Instead of lasting 30 years, these exchangers often develop cracks in as little as 5 to 15 years. When that happens, the repair bill lands with a thud. $3,000, sometimes more, just to replace the failed part. For many families, the cost is so steep that replacing the entire furnace seems like the only logical move. But the problems don't end with thin metal. Today's furnaces are packed with electronic controls, sensors, and circuit boards designed to push efficiency ratings as high as 98% AFUE. These components are sensitive to moisture, dust, and power surges, conditions all too common in basements and utility closets. When a control board fails, it is rarely a simple fix. A single faulty sensor or board can add another $1,000 or more to the repair tab. And warranties are carefully calibrated: 5 years for parts, 10 years for the heat exchanger. After that, every breakdown becomes the homeowner's burden. John J.C. Coleman, a veteran HVAC technician, has seen the pattern play out hundreds of times. He points to the warranty cards and spec sheets. They are not building these things to last. The design life lines up almost perfectly with the warranty. After 10 years, you are on your own. The cycle is reinforced by a hidden epidemic of installation errors. According to the Department of Energy's Energy Star program, more than half of all new HVAC systems in the US are installed incorrectly: ducts too big or too small, venting misaligned, gas pressure out of spec. These mistakes can slash a furnace's real-world efficiency by up to 30% and chop 5 to 7 years off its expected lifespan. Coleman describes service calls where a brand new high-efficiency furnace rated at 95% AFUE is barely delivering the performance of an old 70% unit. In the end, homeowners pay more for fuel, repairs and early replacements, caught in a 15-year loop of breakdown and expense. For the industry, it is a profitable churn. High turnover means steady sales of new units and replacement parts, but for American families, it is a costly, engineered trap. The promise of ultra-high efficiency comes at the price of reliability and longevity, leaving homeowners with little recourse when the warranty clock runs out. At the heart of Canada's heating revolution stands a technology that rewrites the rules of winter comfort: the cold climate heat pump. Dr. Sarah Kwan, a leading engineer in the field, explains how these systems use variable speed inverter compressors to adapt in real time to plunging outdoor temperatures. Unlike conventional electric resistance heaters, which convert 1 unit of electricity into 1 unit of heat, these pumps deliver 2 to 4 times as much heat energy as the power they consume. The result is a coefficient of performance, or COP, between 2 and 4, even when the mercury drops to minus 15 degrees Celsius, and in some models reliable operation persists at minus 30 degrees. Independent tests at the National Renewable Energy Laboratory confirm these claims. In a Climate Zone 5 test home, a Mitsubishi Zuba system maintained over 100% of its rated heating output at minus 15 degrees, with a seasonal COP of 3.6. Field studies from Yukon and Newfoundland echo the lab results. Homes equipped with cold climate heat pumps saw their winter electricity use fall by 30 to 40% compared to similar houses on gas, and after nearly a decade, none reported a single heat exchanger failure. The real breakthrough comes when these heat pumps are paired with a gas furnace in a dual-fuel setup. Here, the heat pump handles over 90% of a home's annual heating needs. The furnace, once the workhorse, becomes a backup, called into service only during the harshest cold snaps. Because it runs so rarely, the furnace's mechanical wear slows dramatically. Data from Canadian utility pilots show these backup furnaces lasting 20 to 25 years, nearly double the lifespan of a furnace forced to carry the full winter load. Homeowners report not only lower fuel bills, but also quieter operation and more stable indoor temperatures. The numbers tell the story. Energy cost savings of $600 to $900 per year, and satisfaction scores above 90%. In the words of Dr. Kwan, we're not just squeezing more heat out of each kilowatt, we're giving every part of the system a longer, better life. In Canada, a powerful combination of government funding and public buy-in has propelled cold climate heat pumps and dual fuel systems from niche experiment to mainstream reality. The Greener Homes Initiative alone has committed $2.6 billion toward making these upgrades accessible, with nearly 250,000 installations already logged and hundreds of thousands more in the pipeline. In Ontario, homeowners can claim up to $7,500 in provincial rebates for qualifying heat pump systems, and interest-free loans of up to $40,000 are available to bridge any remaining costs. These aren't just numbers on a spreadsheet. They represent a deliberate national strategy to break the replacement cycle and put reliable, ultra-efficient heating within reach for ordinary families. South of the border, the contrast is sharp. The US once offered a 30% federal tax credit for heat pumps, capped at $2,000 per household, but that support is already shrinking. By 2025, the credit is set to fall further, with no guarantee of renewal. State-level incentives are patchy at best, often limited to small pilot programs or short-term rebates that rarely match the scale or certainty of their Canadian counterparts. For many American homeowners, the financial math simply doesn't add up. The upfront cost of a cold climate heat pump remains out of reach, while the available credits barely dent the price tag. Behind the scenes, the natural gas industry works hard to keep it that way. Over the past 5 years, gas utilities and furnace manufacturers have poured $45 million into lobbying efforts targeting both federal and state policymakers. Their message is consistent: gas furnaces are reliable, affordable, and essential for cold climates. The result is a policy environment that favours the status quo and slows adoption of alternatives. The impact shows up in surveys. While nearly 70% of Canadians know about the advantages of modern heat pumps, only 12% of Americans are even aware that these systems can outperform gas in the coldest weather. For homeowners like Mike Rivera contemplating a switch, the lack of clear information and consistent incentives keeps the decision fraught with uncertainty. The numbers tell a simple story: where policy and investment align, the market moves. Where they don't, the 15-year furnace replacement cycle rolls on, locking millions of Americans into a pattern of expense and disappointment that could be broken if the will existed to do so. Today, American homeowners face $3,000 repair bills and a 15-year furnace cycle, while over 90% of Canadian homes' heat now comes from systems delivering up to 4 times more energy than they consume. The real question is why policy, not technology, dictates whether efficiency means progress or just planned obsolescence. Share your thoughts below.